Hello and welcome back to the PC Gamer Presents the PC Gamer X East PC Gaming Streaming Experience.
Yes.
Streamed live from a PC. I am James Davenport. I work at PCGamer.com. I wrrite words there.
I'm George Jimenez. I also work at PCGamer.com. I also do words.
And with us is Blake Lowe, an environmental lead at V1 Interactive, and you are working on a game called, well, first, I have an opener for you. It's a real stinger, a big gotcha moment.
Let's get started.
A game called Disintegration. Why is it called Disintegration if it integrates genres?
Ooh.
Back to the drawing board.
I mean, and that's honestly the first time we've heard that one. So
you're welcome.
Yeah,
this is gaming journalism.
We're starting off strong. Okay, yeah.
But what is Disintegration?
So Disintegration is a new genre. A little bit of a new blend genre to a traditional first-person shooter. We blend that high-octane first-person shooter action with real-time tactical elements. So the game has a low barrier of entry. You pick it up, you feel that familiar first-person shooter control, but it's got a high skill bar where as the game starts to unfold, you realize like the tactical element on top of it ends up being the 1-2 punch of our combat. And so you pilot a grav cycle, which is sort of our vehicle for the game. You're flying this grav cycle that has its own set of unique weapons and utilities, and then you command troops on the ground that all come with their own set of unique skills. And so you're telling them where to go, where to move, what to attack, what to target, and what to engage with in the world.
Right on.
Yeah, and we were just talking earlier. V1 has a hell of a lineage and pedigree. Basically, you guys are like an all-star team of just developers who've made all our favorite games.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. Yeah, so we have a history rooted in franchises like Halo and SOCOM and Destiny. And with all that grizzled old talent, there comes brand new guys fresh to the industry, which are putting light back in our eyes and reviving us. And so we've got a nice blend, and there's only about 30 of us there making this game, and it feels like a tight little family. It's very, very important that everybody feels like they have a stake in the game, that they all have a voice, and it's been a fantastic experience so far.
So tell us what you guys are actually showing off here at PAX East here at the booth.
Yeah, so we are showing off one of our multiplayer modes called Control. It's a spin on the classic territory control. 3 zones you're going to capture, but what you do uniquely in Disintegration is you use your units to do these things. In our Capture the Flag mode, called Retrieval, your units are the ones that carry that core, the flag. Here, it's your units that capture these zones. So you're using them to...
we got some gameplay up right now. So
okay. So these are the 9 crews that we're shipping with. And so the units on the ground plus the grav cycle itself combined is what we call a crew. And those 9 crews, they all have unique play styles. The ones we're watching here now, this is the Lost Ronin. They come with so a couple of concussion grenades, which will stun, add a critical state to enemies, so they take more damage. Along with this rocket barrage, which as you see here labeled as Striker, which is just sort of this big, huge AOE dropping bombs. They're sort of the easiest to jump in and understand. The 2 primary weapons are a machine gun, pulse fire machine gun, and homing rockets. Very, very easy to pick up and understand from that traditional first-person shooter. Some more advanced ones, like the sideshows, which are crazy juggalo-looking robots.
I dig the sideshow.
My favorite.
Sticky grenades.
Yeah, my
fantastic.
personal favorite. Yeah, they come with the sticky grenades, which you fire out and then detonate. So they're a great trapping class. And then the ones we're looking at here are the warheads. These guys are tanky. They're just big, brutal bruisers. Their job is to wipe out ground units so that you can't do these things like capturing zones or capturing the cores. They're going to come in, lay waste to units. They're not nearly as good against grav cycles, but they take a ton of damage. They're going to come in and do a lot of brutal damage. They also come with a beautiful sticky nuke, which if you can land that on a grav cycle, just wave goodbye to them. It's so fun.
So tell us a little bit more about kind of the first person, also with that RTS element.
Yeah, so I mean, we built the mechanics first. Like it's, I mean, with those classic games that you mentioned from our pedigree, like gameplay is king. We wanted to make sure that it felt as smooth to manage these units as it does to play a first-person shooter and pull the trigger. That's why everything sort of became this idea of pulling a trigger. With a pull of a trigger, you fire a gun or you fire a command pulse, and that command pulse is what you're using to tell those units where to go, what to do, who to target. And we wouldn't want it to be a cumbersome thing. It needed to feel smooth and easy to access.
So how do you guys work on, say, balancing those particular RTX? Because every little unit has an ability that's mapped out to either D-pad or on the keyboard.
The number pad on the 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's been a challenge, but it's and that's sort of why recently we had a technical beta, and then we added a Discord channel where. If you look at it, like we're the mods in there. We're listening in there to see, because we've had this close to our chest for 3-4 years, and it clicks for us, but it's because it's been there. We need to make sure that it clicks for the fans, and seeing it out here on the floor and seeing people get it, and watching those moments of realization when a crew makes sense to them and they really get that, how to use the tactical element on top of the first-person shooter it's been really rewarding and a lot of fun. But we're always looking to make things better. So that Discord channel has just a ton of feedback in it that we as a team have been parsing and looking at and seeing what we can do to make sure that access is as easy as possible, as quickly as possible.
Right on. I'm kind of curious because I think it's a lot to wrap your head around at a glance.
It sounds like it is, but once you get it in your hand, there's so much intuitiveness that happens that it does when you're describing it. There's a lot of verbiage. There's a lot out there, but.
Well, I'm kind of wondering. So, because I'm just curious about the interplay. I've yet to be able to play this myself. I'm checking it out tomorrow. But if I'm moving into a contested zone, what am I thinking? What am I thinking? Am I gonna send my guys out to basically deny an area and maybe swoop around? What are you the scenarios you're imagining?
What you're thinking about is all the tools you have in your toolbox. Okay. Which is the best way to play it, and it's not the same answer for everyone playing the same crew, even or even going into the same zone. It's those tools that you've got in your toolbox are going to kind of determine how you want to activate, how you want to engage in that scenario. The crew you've got and where you're gonna move in, and how you're gonna engage with those guys. It's all gonna be situational. And everybody's going to do it a little bit different. Actually, each crew is going to do it a little bit different. And yeah, it's been interesting seeing people try actually grasping that here and starting to play it like we hoped it would be. But you don't know until you see it happen in people's hands. So.
As an environmental lead, what's kind of the challenges for you when you're kind of thinking about the maps? And you said you've worked on Halo, and if you want to humble brag at some of the maps you worked on, because I'm sure there's some people out there who are like, oh yeah, I know that map. Map.
Well, the first map I ever got to make was Blackout, which was it was a remake of Lockout. And that was basically me cutting my chops into multiplayer level design. So that one always holds a special place in my heart.
Disintegration is a different.
So the challenge for us there is you basically have to sort of think about two sizes of a gameplay space, because your units on the ground, they're not invincible. You need them to have human-sized cover, and a human-sized space to interact with, and a good combat space to have interesting combat in, but then also support grav cycles that can move much faster and have that sort of aerial fighting space. We found big wide open spaces look really cool, but if you have nowhere to hide and a rocket volley is chasing you, it's not a good experience. So
or you get plunked by those sticky grenades by those juggalos, and it's just now you're screwed.
Exactly.
That's a great sentence. I just need to pull that out and look at it for a second.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Plunked by those sticky grenades. All right, we'll make that one trend.
Juggalos.
So that's been the biggest challenge, but it's also really, really fun when it works out. 'Cause, you don't want everything to just a single road of a street is not a great combat space in the air, because it's just a corridor. And so figuring out how to leverage the fiction of our world with the necessary environmental spaces that fun combat can take place in. It's been a fun challenge, but I'm really happy with where it is.
Yeah, particularly like on that control map that you're talking about right now. People, when they see that mode, they're already familiar because they played a first-person shooter before, but you're kind of adding this element of like, hey, you have a thing that can fly.
Exactly.
And especially the demo down here, it's like you have people, when you have a good team, the game feels like everything feels right.
So that's been actually a really big part of our game, is that like no mode we have is a play by yourself, lone wolf success. It's when somebody's not when somebody on your team isn't playing the role, it's detrimental. Like we really wanted to focus on not just the team play from you and your units, but the team play of you and the crews you're playing with, the composition of your team that you've got, because a lot of those unit abilities and graph cycles can piggyback off of each other. And so the ones we saw there for a minute, you saw this like green orb on the ground. That was it was this healing station that the Kingsguard dropped down. So you want to fly in there and heal yourself, or tell your units to move to that spot so that they get healed, while you yourself might not be that class. So it's all like team relationship is extremely important.
I don't know if you've noticed, you said you were watching some of the streams earlier, there has been a common theme of a lot of the games that we've invited for whatever reason. Maybe James and I are just really
We're
sad.
A certain type.
Dystopian future, everything is bad, capitalism is also bad. Could you tell us a bit about like the fiction of your world going on here? Kind of what's going on here?
Yeah,
you got cool robot people.
We've just added cool robot people now. So in Disintegration, basically this not too distant future, famine, disease, plague, overpopulation, those fun things that we all know and love, have sort of ravaged humanity. And as a stopgap measure, humans developed this thing called integration, where you remove the brain, the actual physical brain, encase it in this robotic armature. That allows us to sort of to avoid those plagues and that sort of thing. And it was meant to be a stopgap, but it didn't take long for post-humanist faction to break off and decide this is the evolution of humanity, and then to start tampering with that integration process and basically removing what makes you human from you, sort of, and then becoming this sort of mindless brain can to the hive mind. Those the big bads of our game called the Rayon, and then they have basically sort of this global regime where they are now forcing integration on everyone. So they've moved this global campaign war. It's already across the U.S. and ravaged it, and it's over into Europe. But we then are focused on our little group of outlaws, the ones that have either rebelled against or have fought back. We're playing sort of in the American West in this world left behind, and sort of taking the fight back to them.
Cool. And I kind of wonder, like, because it does, like, what informs what in this way, or is it integrated? Haha.
Man, he's
when
on
it comes
it
to
James is a pro.
Yeah.
When it comes
I didn't know where I was sitting.
Because it sounds like this is like the fiction is not just like a cute backdrop, like just simple context. It sounds like this is a lore game if you want, and you have all these classes. And I'm always fascinated how like a game with this kind of class design or faction design, does the lore inform sort of the design?
So gameplay is king. That's where we start. That's where we start for sure. But I mean, look at our past. Like, we are storytellers. We want to tell epic stories. And when we looked at building this game, it's interesting how it sort of has naturally evolved into the story that it is. But you think about it in this, in the campaign of World War II, Saving Private Ryan is a little story within it, and this much larger tale.
Gotcha.
That's sort of what we're going for. Where there's this much smaller tale, this small little group that we want to focus on in a much larger campaign, and that campaign has sort of gotten fleshed out as we began to flesh out our world and flesh out the characters that we were building, and hopefully that means that there's a strong enough lore there to continue and tell more stories.
And I mean, I don't know if our viewers caught on to this, because what you're showing here is this multiplayer aspect.
It is. We're looking for how to get the most people hands-on.
Right, but single player campaign's a thing.
We have a full 8 to 10 hour campaign along with the multiplayer element, and behind closed doors, we've got a little bit of a sneak peek at some of the campaign stuff. But you're going to play through this campaign. You're going to pilot different grav cycles with different abilities. You're going to meet different story characters that are going to be the ground units you bring along with you. So you're going to end up caring more about these people than just like the robotic voices on the ground. They're the people you're interacting with in the cutscenes or in our garage. So like that means something. This story means something to them, and it's also a really nice way to kind of experience all the mechanics we have before then being thrown to the wolves in multiplayer.
Yeah, in the footage that you're showing behind closed doors, we have the main character is
Romer Scholl,
which is a great.
Yeah.
Wait, one more time.
Romer Scholl.
That's a good.
That's a
good video game protagonist.
He's having a very tender moment with his grab cycle.
He is.
Out, which is kind of great.
Yeah, he is. A little bit of robots there.
So, a quick question, going back to the sad dystopian future of our brains being removed. Where are the bodies?
Gone. So we just said, you know what? Who needs these fleshy meat sacks? Exactly. The skin bag is gone.
Yeah, they break down as soon as you're born.
So if my arm breaks, I don't have to wait 6 months to repair it. I'm just going to snap a new one on. So that actually is a very interesting point that comes up in our story about these characters, missing the taste of food or missing the things that were human because they're not eating, they're not drinking, they're not doing that sort of those human things that we just take for granted. And these characters, they're still human. It's not a brain powering a robot body that it just then acts like a robot. They are the people they were. They act, they talk like it. There's not a voice robotic modulation. They sound like they sounded when they were human. And you start missing those simple things you used to do, or when you see somebody eating a hot dog, you're like, well, I really miss the taste of hot dogs. Yeah, so that robotic shell comes with its plus and minuses, I guess.
Yeah. Someone in the chat just said robo-romance.
Ooh, I like that one. Robo-romance. Okay.
I miss the taste of hot dogs. Is anything else you want to leave, kind of like as we start winding down? We want people to know about Disintegration.
I would. Like I said, we had that technical beta, and we made a Discord channel so that people could reach out to us and tell us what's working for them, what's not working for them. We're listening. That's, like I said, it's a team of 30 back in Seattle working on this game. We are in touch with the community because it's going to be them that makes this game successful or not. Like it's something new. It's something exciting for us, and we hope people are as excited enough to want to get in and be part of the conversation as to not only where the game is and where it's heading, but where it's going.
Cool. And I guess what's in the months ahead for you all until release?
So the game comes out later this year on Steam, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One, and right now we are wrapping it up. We are working really hard to finish it. We've already taken a bunch of that feedback we got from the technical beta in our Discord channel and are parsing that and seeing what we can do to really improve that player experience before launch. And what happens beyond there is again, it's going to be a conversation we hope to have with the community.
Would game development be easier if you were able to remove your brain and put it in a robot body?
A lot of things would be way easier.
Is that how we combat crunch finally?
Ooh, yeah, maybe so.
We don't feel anything at all.
Yeah. I'm already a numb husk shell, so yeah.
Let's do it.
I'm halfway there. Let's go.
Blake, thank you so much for coming by.
Hey, thank you for having us.
Oh, of course, this was fun. That was Disintegration. I was George Jimenez. This was James Davenport, Blake Lowe, and we'll be back shortly with some space stuff. Some Kerbal Space People program, too. We're going to look at that and ask some space. I'm very scientific, so I'm asking very smart science questions.
Yes.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be good. We'll be right back. See ya.